Hey guys, good morning. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's 5:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. All right, now I want to talk about what I see as like privilege, selective ignorance of the general Trump supporter, conservative, the people that are complaining about the protests. I want to talk about them right now. Okay, so we've all gone to the movies. We've all sat and watched movies. Say Dances with Wolves. Let's say the Revenant. There's hundreds of movies portraying the plight of the Native American, the honor of their warriors, and since the 20s or 30s, where they were looked at as playing cowboys and Indians were the bad guys. They were still the savages back then, but suddenly within the last 80 years, it's become chic. Now that some own casinos and they're looked at as mystical or spiritual to some people with these prejudices. As long as you don't look too Native American, I noticed. Being from the Northeast here, and having French Canadian and Micmac Native Indian background, I look different. I'm a little lighter complected than the Native Americans from, say, the Apache that are combined with a Spanish background, Mexican background down there. And we're treated differently. I can't speak out on this. I don't know. If my point here is, as long as you don't look too different, then you're cool. You're good with the general white America. I found that. I remember dating a couple instances, dating girls or my buddies' mothers asking if I was Puerto Rican or telling me that I looked funny or I looked different. And I'm not even all that. It's not all that obvious. So back to the movies. So everyone we sat down, I'm sure there were plenty of the present-day Trump supporters watching those movies. Thought, oh, that was great. The Native Americans went through so much, and the injustice and savagery that these settlers put upon them, the disease, the millions of Native Americans dying from disease, the disease blankets they would give to the Native Americans, the liquor they introduced to Native Americans. And all the Trump supporters and conservatives are sit and watch those movies, and they're like, oh, and they go back into their car with their dream catchers, and they have their profiles on Facebook with their wolves and their little Native American quotes. But now, when we're talking about tearing down the Columbus statue, the first oppressor that brought that savagery, that disease, brought all of that to this country, they want to celebrate him. They don't see anything wrong with it. He was a great Italian or Spanish. I don't want to diss any other nationalities. And so they're talking out of both sides of their mouths. They're the same people, the same people that love, they have these dream catchers and everything, but, God forbid, Native American actually wants to talk about the past for real, the real oppressors. And I think this brings to mind, I'm going to guess this might happen, like I said, obviously I'm not black, but in the black community, I'm sure the same thing happened with movies like Selma, or looking at Martin Luther King. Donald Trump has, nothing but good, shining things to say about Martin Luther King, and I'm sure that Trump supporters and conservatives and these anti-Black Lives Matter protesters, people, they're the ones saying I'm not racist. I got a black friend. Yeah, that's the famous line of any true racist. I shouldn't have said that, but and they don't even see that they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. It's privilege. It's privilege that they could stand back and judge what parts of somebody else's culture they deem worthy of being celebrated. If that's not the ultimate slap in the face, I don't know what is. That these people are on Facebook and Instagram now speaking out about, you know, that we should proudly, you know, the rebel flag is part of our heritage. Christopher Columbus is part of history, American history. You know, and those are the same people that I've sat down with and watched Dances with Wolves or Selma. And, oh, and they've actually cried during the movie. Oh, the plight, the things these great African Americans suffered through. Rosa Parks was a true hero. You know, and these are the same people that want to wave the Confederate flag now and leave up all the think that there's no racial problems in the United States. That these people are just doing it for attention or whatever. That, I think, I'm thinking that is true white privilege. And the fact that they don't even see the hypocrisy, that the worst thing, it's one of the most nauseating things I have ever seen. For these people just to judge what is what is an appropriate representation and what is an appropriate grievance of another culture, for them to say, well, you know, that Martin Luther King, in a white person's eyes, he's a great man, but these Black Lives Matter people are just trouble. They're just bad for America. They're just complaining. They're just Antifa. The height of hypocrisy, and they don't even see it. Like I said, and the same thing with the Christopher Columbus. You know, I guarantee you there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people out there that are complaining about the Christopher Columbus statues. It's terrible. These rioters tearing down these statues and taxpayer statues and throwing them in the rivers as they drive away with all their dream catchers hanging down, their howling wolf, or the Native American on horseback with the sun setting. All the stereotypical images of what a Native American is supposed to look like. They drive away as they complain about the Christopher Columbus statues being torn down. White privilege, willful ignorance, I'm not sure what to call it. If people took a step back and just used a little empathy and looked at what they're really saying, seriously. Just because, like I said, with the Native Americans, I've always been, you know, for like Donald Trump to say that about Elizabeth Warren, call her Pocahontas, that she doesn't look Native American to him. Should she be wearing a war bonnet? Would that help Donald Trump? Would that make it okay? Would Donald Trump think that she's she's Native American? Does he have a checklist? Do I look at Donald Trump and have a checklist? Well, he's not wearing a kilt. He's a liar. He's not Scottish. He's got to be wearing a kilt. He's not holding a bottle of scotch and wearing a kilt in a golf club. He ain't Scottish. Who the Ian McGregor does he think he is? Think about it. All right. You guys have a good Saturday.